The growing student debt crisis is increasingly becoming a talking point on the campaign trail for 2020 Democrats. Last week, Senator Elizabeth Warren and House Majority Whip Jim Clyburn introduced legislation that would cut up to $50,000 in debt for every student. They'll both be in South Carolina Friday for Clyburn's world-famous fish fry, as will we. As the Associated Press reports, Pete Buttigieg knows about the student debt issue firsthand. He and his husband reportedly owe six figures worth. Earlier, my colleague Tanya Rivero spoke with Michelle Smith, who reported on this.
So how does Pete Buttigieg and his husband Chasen's student loan debt compare to the average student debt people have today?
Well, it's on the high side. The average student loan debt is about $33,000 for borrowers. Their student loan debt as a couple is $131,000. So that's on the high side, although there's still about 2.8 million Americans who owe more than $100,000 in federal student loan debt.
And we know how crippling that debt can be. What has Buttigieg proposed to tackle the student loan debt crisis that has grown to record proportions, hasn't it?
There's $1.4 trillion owed by 43 million people in the U.S. in federal student loan debt. Buttigieg has proposed several programs, as have a lot of the other candidates. For example, he and many others want to make it easier for people who go into public service to get their loans forgiven. 7 of the candidates who are in the Senate, including Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders, actually have proposed legislation in the Senate to simplify this program, where if you go into public service, such as a teacher or emergency responders, you could have your loans forgiven if you make basically 10 years of payments. That program has been very hard to qualify for. Buttigieg also has said he wants to make that easier. His husband, Chasten, is a teacher, and he's spoken about that Chasten went to college and racked up all this debt, and he and others who go into public service are never going to make big bucks.
So, Michelle, at this point, Buttigieg has spoken publicly fairly often about his collective student loan debt with his husband. Is he making this issue then central to his campaign?
Yeah, he's talked about it quite a bit. The funny thing is, he said, actually, he went to Harvard and then he got a Rhodes Scholarship and went to Oxford, and he said he got through those pretty much without debt. And then Chasten went and got a master's and to be a teacher, and that's and he racked up a lot of debt. But he's not the only one. Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, they've talked about this issue quite a bit. Elizabeth Warren has a proposal to cancel $50,000 in loan debt for borrowers who have a household income under $100,000. And then it would be smaller amounts for people who earn more than $100,000 a year. She wants to pay for that by putting a tax on ultra millionaires, the households with a net worth of $50 million or more. So she's talked about that a lot. Bernie Sanders has also talked about that a lot. A lot of the candidates want to make public colleges and universities either free, like Warren, Sanders have said that, or something that Buttigieg and Kamala Harris have talked about, debt-free college and community college. Each candidate has a slightly different take on it. For example, Buttigieg says middle and low-income families would pay zero tuition at public colleges, or they would attend them debt-free, depending on their income. Debt-free would be you'd still have to pay, but you might get grants or things like that to get you through.
Any way you slice it, it sounds like this will be a big issue going forward to 2020. Michelle Smith of the AP, we thank you.